Last time on the StuK 3 series, we watched Beau tack weld together the top portion of the gun mount. He's only tack welded it for now, but will be welding it up solid once everything fits together perfectly. This week, we're moving down the gun mount to the turntable, and like everything with the StuK 3 series, it's not going to be quite as easy as it first seems. Hi, I'm Kurt from Armour, and welcome to Workshop Wednesday. Before we move on to the turntable, there's one finishing touch to add. The part that locks in the trunnions of the gun. This groove in the semicircle is to accommodate a bearing assembly on the trunnions. We'll show more of this when we move onto the gun. We will be fabricating the trunnions and recoil system. This pipe is going to help line the two mounts up. Looks like Beau needs to make a few little adjustments.
That should be it.
As mentioned earlier, Beau has only tacked things in place for now. For all of his careful measurements, it's impossible to guarantee that everything will fit together perfectly without any adjustments. But once all the components have been test fitted, Beau will then go ahead and weld in the entire piece seamlessly together. Now to the turntable. At first it doesn't look so bad, but there are bends and twists in this that cannot be fixed to the standard that we're after. So Beau has meticulously drawn up each component to refabricate. This piece was originally a single cast, but that sort of thing isn't really in our realm of expertise, and we don't have one that's in perfect condition either to even make a mould. Of course, if we did, we would just use that one anyway. It takes many years to get your hand-eye coordination to this level. Beau did his entire apprenticeship working on tanks and armoured vehicles here at Armour, so even though he's only 29, he has over a decade of experience working on these sorts of projects.
It's still going to need a little bit of tweaking to get it right because there's some flat spots. That's enough weld. Nah. So we'll fully weld this eventually. I'm just going to put the other side on now. Shoot the sparks that way. Should be able to get in there to weld it. No, I'm gonna put some stitches on this now. I'm gonna weld it up a bit more just to give it a bit more strength because I'm not sure if I can get in there with the welder later on, so I'll put some weld on that. So I'm welding it down here. That way I don't have to worry about any positional welding.
What's that bit, Beau?
This is the other bit.
This is the other bit? The next bit?
This is the part that welds to the other side of that piece up there. The thing is, I might not be able to get in there with the welder.
Since Beau isn't sure if the welder is going to be able to reach the inside corner of these two pieces, he's grinding in a V on the back side so that he can achieve a good welding bond there instead.
When we put this on, it could rot, right? So when we place this piece on top here, we could go tucking that on there and then having it pull slightly. So what I'm going to do is use the offcut. That's why I got this cut a little bit longer, so I could use this piece. So I could use this piece here. No, it just came in handy that it was there.
It's all part of the plan.
That's right, yeah. And that will just help us so much keeping this level.
Beau will remove this little part a bit later on.
That's pretty good. This laying down is not going to make any difference to anything. Love that. Just checking.
It's on upside down.
No, I just some of these were handed, I think.
Some of these were what?
Handed, so you could only put it on one way.
This whole gun mount assembly is not symmetrical, and each component has been drawn up to be aligned and fitted in a very particular way. So Beau grabs the base of this part to line everything up just to make sure it's all going together properly. It's made offset in this way to account for the addition of the traverse gear. When this piece is complete, we'll run through how it all works and it will make a lot more sense then.
That's the opposite side. Now it's tricky. We can't weld anywhere but where the cutouts are on the inside. So I'm going to get as much weld as I can on the inside here, and that should be plenty enough for this anyway.
StuK's fixed gun did have a limited traverse. It pivoted on this point. Glenn turned this exquisite replica out on the lathe last week, and now Beau is going to fix it to the rest of the piece.
So it sits on top of one and acts as a spacer. And then the other one will sit over the top of it, like so. That's how that works. The best thing I could do is probably put all of the bolts in, or at least one bolt each side, to line these two plates up. But even then it's still going to be out. So what I can do is square the edge of this, and when it meets up with the edge of the bottom one, then you know that the two plates are going to be in line with each other. All right. Oh. I'm just triple checking everything just to make sure. Yeah, we're all good. 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 It's good. Sometimes.
Two different lengths.
Yeah, one's longer than the other. Pivot point's not in the center of this plate, no. And that's not just because I stuffed up, it's because that's how it was made originally.
After grinding off any sharp edges on the base plate, it's time to start putting it all together. Beau's putting the strengthening gussets in. If you've put together a detailed StuK model kit before, these will look familiar. We had quite a few questions about what kind of metal was used to build these parts in the original pieces. Just from working with it, it's all really hard and brittle in some areas, but in the same piece it can be really soft. This is a late war StuK built in 1945, so our guess is that it's made up of all sorts of different grades of metal, just thrown in together. Even though we're using mild steel, it's of a far superior quality than what the original was made out of.
Welded the channels in and these blocks in here, and I've put a little bit more weld on just to hold it in place for now, but I'll fully weld it later on. Next is the main base plate. This wasn't flat on it. This actually was jacked up about 16 mil or so. So that's the next step.
All right.
Now I've got bloody welding spatter all over it.
You grind it off?
Yeah.
The welding spatter needs to be taken off so that everything will sit flush. This is easy enough with a quick pass of the grinder.
What way do we have this again?
While drawing this up, Beau found that even parts that looked similar were made differently. Better double check again.
It doesn't sit flush on the outside, it sticks past. For some reason. They're not the same.
Oh, you're
see,
kidding.
They're not. The holes don't line up. This hole is a different distance to the other one. That's how they go. Heavy. Yeah, there's bits of old spatter sticking down, so that's going to give us a bit of trouble.
Gotta grind it off, eh?
This piece just bolts on the top, this doesn't weld on.
Really?
Yeah. Well, that's why we've got bolt holes all through it.
Who would have thought?
Pretty good there. We need to finish off a few things like capping these ends off, and trimming off the excess material. The bits that I've just welded on underneath this, they need to be tapped. So we've got to tap a thread into them because these bolts didn't have a nut on the other side. That's the basic structure put together without the traverse gear. We're going to use the original one that's on that. We're going to pull that off and we're going to put it in place on this where it would have gone. Just accessories like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a shame that the original piece was unsalvageable, but it's way too special to throw away. We were thinking of having it mounted and placed next to the StuK when it's finished as a special display. Let us know if you think this is a good idea or if you have any other suggestions. We'll be restoring these little spring-loaded wheels and fit them to the new mount along with the traverse gear. In the next StuK episode, Beau will be making the brackets that the mount attaches to. Then he'll weld up the entire unit. We'll send it away to be blasted and primed, then move back onto the wheels and suspension units now that all the bearings and other components have finally arrived. But that's all we have time for today. Join us next Wednesday for your weekly tank restoration fix. So until then, I'm Kurt from Armour, and I'll see you on the next one.